In a bold statement delivered on Thursday, President Donald Trump reiterated his unwavering stance on the imposition of sweeping tariffs on steel, aluminum, and other imports, suggesting that he will not back down despite mounting concerns over potential economic disruption. Speaking from the Oval Office, Trump declared, "No, I'm not going to bend at all aluminum or steel or cars. We're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years." These remarks come as markets react to the uncertainty surrounding his trade policies, with noticeable losses, and analysts express growing concern about the long-term impact of his tariffs. The president's comments signal his continued resolve to enforce his America First agenda, which includes taking a hard stance on trade relations with both long-standing allies and competitors. Despite the volatility and uncertainty surrounding global trade, Trump expressed confidence that any economic pain resulting from these tariffs would be short-lived. Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long, Trump reassured reporters, suggesting that any short-term disruption caused by the trade war would eventually ease. While Trump's rhetoric has been met with concern from many in the business world, the president has remained steadfast in his belief that these policies are necessary to protect American industries from unfair foreign competition. The tariffs, set at 25% on steel and 10% on aluminum, were introduced as part of Trump's broader strategy to address what he sees as long-standing imbalances in international trade. He has long argued that the US has been taken advantage of by foreign nations, particularly China, through unfair trade practices. This has been a central theme of his presidency since the 2016 campaign, Trump's ironclad stance on tariffs. A declaration of economic independence, the president's refusal to back down on tariffs marks a defining aspect of his approach to foreign relations and economic policy. Trump's uncompromising rhetoric echoes the populist themes that underpinned his rise to power, particularly his emphasis on protecting American jobs and industries. Steel and aluminum manufacturers, who have long complained about foreign imports flooding the US market at unfairly low prices, have been some of Trump's most vocal supporters. The tariffs are meant to level the playing field, Trump argues, and to ensure that American industries, especially in manufacturing and construction, can compete more fairly on the global stage. However, the economic effects of these measures have already begun to ripple across the global economy, causing sharp reactions from industries that depend on the free flow of international trade. The US stock market has been particularly sensitive to tariff-related uncertainty, with significant drops in key indices. In the wake of Trump's announcement, experts have warned that a prolonged trade war could lead to higher costs for American consumers, job losses in industries reliant on imports, and retaliatory tariffs from foreign governments. The automotive industry, which relies heavily on aluminum and steel imports, has also expressed concern about the impact of the tariffs on production costs and the potential for job losses in sectors tied to international trade. Trump's economic advisors, however, argue that the short-term disruption will be outweighed by the long-term benefits of bringing jobs back to the US and reinvigorating American manufacturing. Trump himself has consistently championed the idea that US workers will ultimately benefit from his hardline approach to trade, even if there is some temporary pain along the way. His optimistic view is that the US will emerge from this period of economic turbulence stronger and more self-sufficient, free from the dependence on foreign steel, aluminum, and energy sources that he believes have weakened the country's economic strength over the years. The spirits industry and other sectors express alarm. While Trump's remarks focused heavily on steel and aluminum, the threat of tariffs has spread to other sectors as well. One notable industry that has voiced concern is the alcoholic beverages sector, particularly distillers and importers of wine, beer, and spirits. In a move that sent shockwaves through the global alcohol market, Trump warned that he could soon impose a 200% tariff on alcoholic beverages coming into the US, a move that would drastically increase prices for both consumers and businesses. This potential tariff could have far-reaching consequences for the wine and spirits industry, especially as many popular alcoholic beverages are imported from Europe and other parts of the world. Representing the spirits industry have expressed alarm over the prospect of such high tariffs, with some warning that they could lead to widespread price hikes and even job losses in the alcohol distribution sector. The US is a major market for imported wines and spirits, and a sudden increase in import costs could result in significant disruptions to businesses that rely on these products. Some economists have predicted that a 200% tariff could hurt American consumers by raising prices on popular imported products, including Scotch whiskey and French wine, potentially creating a rift in relations with key international trade partners. Despite these concerns, Trump has remained steadfast in his position, arguing that the tariffs are necessary to correct trade imbalances and protect American workers. His administration has made it clear that it is willing to use tariffs as a tool to exert leverage in trade negotiations, with the ultimate goal of securing better deals for the US. Trump's vision for North America, Canada, and beyond. Trump's trade policies are not limited to Europe and China. He has also targeted key allies in North America, particularly Canada and Mexico, who have been included in the tariff disputes. In a provocative statement, Trump claimed that the US does not need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber. We don't need anything that they give. We do it because we want to be helpful. This assertion about Canada, in particular, has sparked controversy, especially given the long-standing economic ties between the US and its northern neighbor. The US imports a significant amount of softwood lumber from Canada, approximately 30% of the nation's total supply. Due to a shortage of domestic production capacity, lumber is a critical component of the US housing market, and any disruption to the supply of Canadian lumber could drive up costs for American homebuyers and builders alike. Furthermore, the interconnected nature of the US and Canadian energy grids has raised concerns about potential disruptions in the energy sector. Canada is a major supplier of oil and natural gas to the US, and any tariffs or trade restrictions on Canadian energy could lead to higher energy prices and instability in the energy market. The small business factor, Trump's confidence in American entrepreneurs. Throughout his presidency, Trump has often pointed to the resilience and ingenuity of the American business community as a key factor in driving economic growth. While critics have warned that small businesses could suffer from the tariffs, particularly those that depend on imported goods, Trump has expressed confidence that American entrepreneurs will ultimately benefit from the tariffs. They're going to be so much richer than they are right now, he said, referring to small businesses that may face challenges in the short term, but will ultimately thrive under his protectionist policies. Trump's economic advisors have echoed this sentiment, arguing that the tariffs will stimulate growth in domestic manufacturing and create new opportunities for American businesses to expand. While the immediate impact on small businesses may be painful, the long-term goal is to build a more self-reliant and competitive economy, free from the constraints of international trade deals that many believe have been unfair to US workers. The global ripple effect. What comes next? The introduction of tariffs by the US has set off a chain reaction in global markets, with countries around the world considering retaliatory measures in response to Trump's aggressive trade stance. In addition to the uncertainty in the stock market, foreign governments have signaled that they may impose their own tariffs on US goods in response to the steel, aluminum, and other import duties. This has raised concerns about the potential for a full-scale trade war, which could escalate into a broader economic crisis. For now, Trump remains resolute in his position, confident that the short-term disruption will ultimately give way to a stronger and more competitive American economy. While the international community watches closely to see how the US navigates these turbulent waters, it remains clear that Trump's trade policies are unlikely to shift anytime soon. As the president continues to press forward with his tariff agenda, the nation and the world will be left to wait and see how these policies will reshape the future of global trade and economic relations. The coming months will likely be pivotal in determining whether the economic disruption caused by the tariffs is indeed brief, or whether it will result in long-lasting consequences for both the US and its trading partners. The debate over trade policy, globalization, and economic sovereignty is far from over, and it is a debate that will undoubtedly define much of the political and economic landscape in the years to come.